I'm just going to let you all know up front that this rant is going to be totally unfair. Some might even say a little bit mean-spirited, but it's something that I find really interesting and that I want to talk about. I've made a bunch of tweets about this in the past, about what I find to be the most boring taste in anime. And I'm not talking about, like, someone who's new and they just like, Naruto and Bleach and Sword Art Online or something like that. Like, I'm talking about people who are really into anime, usually people who comment on it, who are on the forums, who are on 4chan, who might even make YouTube videos about anime, and just have taste that bores me to tears. And I mostly see this kind of taste because I go on 4chan's anime and manga board on /A. There's like a lot of these 3x3 threads where basically people will make a 3x3 image of their top 9 favorite anime. And there's one of these threads like every day, and it's mostly the same people keep posting in them. But like, there's certain shows that you'll see on almost everyone's 3x3 list, and there's like a certain type of 3x3 that I almost feel like is posturing, or it's like people are basing their 3x3 on what 9 shows will make them look the smartest and coolest. Like, what 9 shows make you look like you have great taste, make you look like you are a seasoned veteran and you know your stuff. And I find it incredibly boring. And none of them are bad shows. And I've seen, plenty of 3x3 lists who have some of these shows, but other ones, and like I really get the sense that the person really cares about the 9 shows on their list. I get excited when I see a favorites list that I feel like really tells me something about that person, other than that they are trying to project an image of having great taste in anime. If you look at my top 9 list, it says that I'm someone who likes shows that have a lot of shit going on. That's just generally my taste. Is I like shows that have as many ideas packed in as possible, as much stuff going on in each episode, lots of just little details and stuff are what I'm into. And I think that can come through if you look at if you try to find the common element between all the 9 shows on my list. And I love looking at people's favorites lists. I love trying to put together like what they value in a show based on their list. Sometimes I'll see someone who, has a top 9 that like maybe like I can really tell their taste based on the first 5, and the other ones I'm like, this guy just hasn't seen what will be the last 5 on his list, and then you can kind of recommend them and stuff like that. But the most boring taste in anime to me, I'm just off the top of my head, I'm going to construct what shows have to be on this list. You have to have at least one Masaaki Yuasa show. Probably the Tatami Galaxy. Kaiba is acceptable. Probably not Kemonozume. Ping Pong is acceptable now. You got to have one of those. Because Masaaki Yuasa, his shows are so out there, but also so grounded and have great, tight storylines. The funny thing about Yuasa's shows is that even though they look so experimental and crazy, the stories are actually really easy to understand, and they're very well written, but there's nothing to them that's like that I think is super challenging, which I think is a credit to his shows. I like that they're so immediate, and I think anybody could watch them and appreciate them. But they're just these solidly, tightly written stories that almost remind me more of films, or of like, of some of the classic films that people love. So you gotta have one of those. You gotta have some stuff from the 80s, either from World Masterpiece Theater, so like Anne of Green Gables, or fucking, 50,000 Leagues in Search of Mother. Is it 40,000? I don't remember how many leagues it is. 80,000? Leagues in Search of Mother. Maybe it's 3,000. I really don't remember. You gotta have one of the World Masterpiece Theater shows, or something directed by Osamu Dezaki. So either like Onisama A, if you're like really trying to go out there, or Rose of Versailles, or Ashita no Joe. You gotta have one of those, because those are what are gonna make you look like cultured, like you've seen stuff, from before the time that everyone else is into. Gotta have Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Big, long, smart show. Everyone respects it. It's known for having the best plot in a show, this densely complex story with all these characters and moving parts. You gotta have that. Then you gotta have Mushishi, because, it's so artistically beautiful and such a deep tone, and it uses the medium to its full advantage and all that stuff. And then you gotta have Aria the animation, because even though you don't want to project that you like cute girl shows or anything like, otaku-y, this show, despite being mostly, having a cast of cute girls, is so atmospheric and so soothing and not like those other shows. It doesn't have any of those pratfalls that you can love this show and still have this air of being a smart, dignified anime fan. It's a show that has appeal outside of otaku. While you're at it, you could also have Yokohama Shopping Log, Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko, especially if this is a manga list, that has to be on there. You've got to have one of the classic 80s or 90s sci-fi films, probably Ghost in the Shell, maybe Standalone Complex. Akira is an acceptable one. You have to have some of those just classic 90s sci-fi or cyberpunk. And then you've got to have like something from the late 90s or early 2000s that's just widely acclaimed. You can have Cowboy Bebop if you want, Serial Experiments Lain, anything that's sort of smart and intellectual from the late 90s, early 2000s. And this is how you build the ultimate favorites list. And the reason that this favorites list bothers me so much, again, it feels so much like it's trying to go towards consensus appreciated stuff that nobody's going to disagree with you on. Nobody's going to be like, you put Mushishi on your top 9? Because everyone respects Mushishi. Even people who don't like Mushishi respect it because it looks so smart. It looks like a really smart show, Whereas if you say don't like K-On!, then people who don't like it will often have no respect for it because it doesn't look smart. It looks like some cute girls whatever bullshit show, But a show like Mushishi, everyone looks at it and they go, well, obviously it's good. I mean, I don't like it. I think it's boring, but obviously it's good. That wasn't my opinion, by the way. I think I've got a Mushishi DVD around here somewhere. By the way, this is my favorites shelf. Anything that I like more than everything else I have is on this shelf, which is why I'm filming in front of it. But I get that feeling when I see those 9 balls of like projecting this image, and when it starts to fall apart for me is when people start putting on shows that I don't like at all, or that I think are just overrated and like for that kind of show, like Ergo Proxy. When I see a show that's like 8 other shows that I think are great, and then I see Ergo Proxy, and then I really get this feeling like I feel like people like Ergo Proxy just because it's different, just because it looks like a smart, interesting show. But I find it hard to believe that there's so many people who legitimately think that it's great, because, I don't know, I just think it's so boring most of the time and doesn't end up making a lot of sense, and half the time it looks like complete shit. The animation falls apart throughout the whole midsection of the show, and no one can ever explain to me why they love it, other than every time I see a review of Ergo Proxy, it's always like, it's so different and it's intellectual, and I'm like, well, how? Why? And that's the thing about all these shows. Anytime someone talks about why they like them, why are they in your favorites list, why are they worth recommending to everyone, it's always like, it's so inventive, it's so different, it's so unique. Katana Gatari is another one that I don't find that impressive of a show, but it looks so different that I feel like it's easy to, if you like it at all, to be like, yeah, I don't feel ashamed of liking this because look how different it is from all the mainstream stuff, When I look at my own top 9, there's some stuff I have, like K-On! I obviously have to get defensive about. Kill La Kill is one that, is an even split between people who think it's an amazing show and people who think it's trash. But the ones that are odd, like Log Horizon, I don't think a lot of people consider that an amazing show, and I have all these detailed reasons for why I think it is one, but I appreciate that when people look at Log Horizon, it doesn't look like a classic show. It doesn't have that immediate oh, that's an 80s show directed by Osamu Dezai. Oh, you have a Mamoru Oshii film in your list. Oh, how, oh, Satoshi Kon, of course, Hayao Miyazaki, oh, that's another one you need to have is, you have to have a Ghibli film, but if it's not Princess Mononoke or Spirited Away, then it has to be one that not a lot of people have seen. You gotta have Porco Rosso or Whisper of the Heart. Those are the main ones. You gotta have one that not as many people talk about, but everyone knows is supposed to be good. That's how you create this perfect list. And man, again, I don't think this is necessarily fair. And if you really want to see someone who like embodies this taste I'm talking about, and I feel a little bad for just calling him out like this, but Anime Every Day, the YouTuber Anime Every Day, just like he puts out all these lists that'll be like top 10 shows from the 90s, top 10 shows from the 2000s, and it's all just like the most obvious possible choices if you wanted to look smart and cool. Like, here's the 10 shows that will make you look the smartest and the coolest to say are your 10 favorite shows. And I don't know if he's taking that approach or, if there's any self-awareness about it or not, but like, that's just how I end up feeling, especially the way he talks down other shows that aren't on his list. And then I see, he's got Ergo Proxy he likes, and he likes Katana Gatari, and he likes, Aria, even though Aria is not that different from a lot of these moe shows. But hey, it's artistic looking, and that makes it, easier to sell to people. Maybe he legitimately loves all those shows and doesn't like the ones that he's not talking about. But I just think it's so easy to make that top 9, that everyone's going to be impressed by, that no one's going to question, no one's going to have doubts about, You get, like, when you move away from that a little, you'll always get the top 9s that are like, 6 of those shows and then Monogatari, and like Yuri Yuri or something, and those are the people who are like, a little more trying to, present a little more edge to it. But I don't know. When I see a 9-ball that, like, really tells me something about that guy, I get excited. When I see one that's, like, might have 5 classic shows that everyone has, and then the other 4 are, like, kind of surprising. Or they might even be all shows that a lot of people like, but they have a little bit more, personality to them than just being the shows that everyone's going to give you credit for liking. I don't know. Maybe I can't decide if I think it's dishonest or not. Like, I really don't know. Like, maybe I'm completely mischaracterizing it, and maybe the problem is just that I look at so many favorites lists, And I also get that feeling because I'm on A, where I know everyone's trying to project an image that looks cool, Everyone wants to be someone who no one's going to go, you like Kill la Kill, which I get when I post my 9-balls, So, like, I get it. But I just find it so boring. And I wish, if you have a favorites list like that, like, just, if you can explain to me, like, what about that show appeals to you specifically, and not just the fact that it's a good show, that it's a consensus masterpiece, like I watch Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and I appreciate everything that's great about it. I think it has spectacular writing, great characters, an interesting setting, but, like, I don't know that it appeals to me personally on any kind of, like, deeper, meaningful level. I haven't watched too much of it. I've watched, like, 28 episodes. So far, I'd give it, like, a strong 8 to a light 9. Like, I have problems with it, that not too severe, but, like, I don't know. If I tried to explain the show, I could tell you all the reasons that it's a good show and that, like, it is of quality construction. But that wouldn't amount to, oh, it's also one of my favorite anime. There's nothing personal about it for me. And I feel like that's missing. I feel like a lot of people, when they make their top 9, they're trying to make, well, look at how much I can tell what good anime is. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, guy. We all can. We all can do that. No one's looking at Legend of the Galactic Heroes and going, really? People think this is a classic? Like, no one's doing that. You don't have to prove what the top 9 best anime are, because literally everyone agrees every fucking 9-ball has them in it, So I just want to see more people, talking about and promoting and associating themselves with shows that have a deeper personal connection with them. Shows that tell me something about you other than I have good taste in anime,